Masters of the Way, Contemplation Parable by Jaws Attack, Mountain and the River. There was once a traveler who climbed a mountain seeking wisdom, and along the way, he crossed a river that ran without end. At the summit of that mountain stood a lone swordsman, silent and still as stone. In the hearts of the river, a warrior moved like wind across water, striking with no trace. The traveler bowed to both. "I seek the way," he said. The swordsman spoke no words. He only turned and began to walk down the mountain with steady, deliberate steps. Each movement drew lines in the earth straight and exact. The warrior in the river made no sound, but the current shifted, following his dance, spiraling with energy and motion. Confused, the traveler cried, "Which way is the true path?" One is still, one flows, one cuts the air like thunder, one listens like a stone. A voice, not from either man, but from within the wind, answered. The mountain is immovable, yet it shapes the sky. The river is formless, yet it carves the earth. The sword finds its place in stillness. The fist finds its place in motion. But the way is not in sword or fist. The way is in the space between them. The traveler sat beneath a tree, closed his eyes, and breathed. He did not climb higher. He did not dive into the river. He simply listened to the silence of the mountain and the song of the river. And from that silence and that song, he began to move. Not like the swordsman, not like the warrior, but like himself. A continuation takes place. The traveler begins to truly integrate the essence of both masters. Empty cup and the mirror lake. Time passed, though the sun did not move. The traveler sat in stillness beneath the tree, eyes closed, breath slowed. The world around him seemed to vanish. Mountain, river, wind, all gone. Only breath, only presence, only now. As he sank deeper, he found himself no longer sitting upon the earth, but suspended between two reflections. To his left, the swordsman Musashi stood beside a stone basin. He poured tea into the traveler's cup. The liquid never spilled, never overflowed, but neither did it fill. To his right, Bruce stood at the edge of a mirror-still lake. With a single motion, he struck the surface. Ripples moved out, yet when they reached the edges, they returned inward. Each ripple told a story: fear, desire, anger, peace. The traveler looked down and saw his reflection in both places. He asked Musashi, "Why does my cup remain empty?" Musashi replied, "Because it is already full with questions. Empty it completely, and the way will pour itself in." He turned to Bruce and asked, "Why does the lake return every ripple?" Bruce replied, "Because every strike, every motion you make returns to you. You do not fight the water. You become responsible for the echo." The traveler wept, not from sorrow, but from clarity. His tears fell into the lake. The water did not resist them. The cup caught one drop, and it was enough. Upon opening his eyes, when the traveler opened his eyes beneath the tree, the mountain and the river were no longer separate. They met at the horizon, where stone became cloud and water climbed the sky. Musashi was gone. Bruce was gone. But their presence remained in the stillness of the traveler's breath and in the readiness of his limbs. He stood. He bowed to the earth. He whispered, "I do not seek to become them. I seek to become what they reveal." He took a single step, and the world stepped with him. A powerful shift. After absorbing from Musashi and Bruce Lee, the traveler now meets Yamamoto Tsunetomo, the keeper of resolve, death, and honor without hesitation. This scene marks the awakening of the spine, the anchoring of all lessons in action. Parable of the flame that does not flicker. The traveler walked onward, not up, not down, but forward through a forest where the trees stood like sentinels, ancient and tall. The air was thick with stillness, but not silence. It was the stillness before a storm, the kind that sharpens the senses. Ahead, a figure knelt beneath a cedar tree, still as stone, dressed in simple robes. His presence felt heavier than armor. His breath moved like the wind through a battlefield long after the clash. The traveler recognized him, not from vision, but from feeling. Yamamoto Tsunetomo. He did not speak. He did not look up. The traveler bowed. I have studied flow from the river, strategy from the mountain. I have emptied my cup and felt the ripples of my soul. What remains? The traveler asked. Still not looking up, Tsunetomo replied. Resolve. Without it, all flow becomes drift. Without it, strategy becomes hesitation. He then reached for something beside him, a single candle. He lit it. The flame rose, slender, unwavering. This is the life of a true warrior, he said. It burns not with noise, but with decision, not with rage, but with readiness. The traveler stared at the flame. I understand, he whispered. Tsunetomo looked up for the first time. No, he said. You do not understand. Not until you are ready to act with no thought of return. Not until you carry the stillness of Musashi, the movement of Lee, and the finality of death, without grief, without hesitation. He stood. The candle remained still, untouched by wind. He continued, to be ready in life, you must already be at peace with death. Only then can you serve the world completely. Then he handed the traveler the candle. It was warm, but did not burn. Keep this flame with you. Let it not flicker, not in fear, not in doubt, not in the eyes of your enemy or your loved ones. Let it burn in silence. The traveler now walks forward not as a seeker, but as one who bears a sacred flame. No longer looking for the next master, but carrying the legacy of all three. The sword of presence, Musashi, the flow of adaptation, Bruce, the flame of resolve, Tsunetomo, the mirror of the flame. This is the moment of deep inner contemplation, where the traveler digests all he has received from Musashi, Bruce Lee, and Tsunetomo. This is the silence before Shoju Rojin, the sacred inner stillness before the Zen master's arrival. The mirror of the flame, contemplation before the void. The traveler found shelter in a quiet grove, where the trees bowed gently inward, forming a natural circle. Neither temple nor battlefield, but a sacred space between. He sat beneath the moonlight, the candle given by Tsunetomo glowing faintly before him. Its flame neither danced nor trembled. It stood tall, alive, aware. He placed before it three objects. 1, a stone from the mountain. 2, a ripple of water captured in a small dish. 3, the flame, still burning. He stared at them and began to speak, not aloud, but within. Musashi taught me to walk with the sword of stillness, that no form can survive without presence, that every breath must be strategy. I see now. He did not teach me how to strike. He taught me how to see, to perceive even my own heartbeat as a rhythm to master. The wind passed through the grove, but the stone did not move. Bruce taught me to flow, to shatter the cup and pour myself into the formless. That style is a cage, and the true fighter is freedom embodied. I see now. He did not teach me how to move. He taught me how to respond, to trust the intelligence of the body, guided by spirit. A single leaf fell into the dish of water, and the ripple moved outward, graceful, unforced. Tsunetomo lit a flame in me that doesn't flicker. He gave me death, not as an end, but as an anchor. I see now. He did not teach me how to die. He taught me how to commit, to act without delay, to step forward without retreat. The candle flickered once, then returned to its still form, testing him. The traveler breathed deeply. And then, silence. A silence so deep it swallowed his thoughts. A silence where even his identity began to dissolve. Who am I, if not the student? Who am I, if not the warrior? What is left when all teachings have been received, but not yet applied? The candle glowed softly. The stone remained unmoved. The water remained reflective. He saw his face in all three. The face of stillness, the face of movement, the face of flame. And yet behind them all was something else. Not a master, not a sword, not a path, a void, a presence before names. And in that moment, he did not move. He became the mirror. Now that the traveler has emptied himself in silence and merged with the stillness, movement, and flame, the moment is ripe for the Zen blade, the quiet master who cuts with no weapon, the master with no shadow. The traveler sat still in the grove, no longer in thought, no longer seeking. The stone, the water, and the flame now existed not as teachings but as truths within him. He was no longer carrying lessons. He was the lesson. No motion stirred. The night did not move. Even the moon held its breath. Then, as if the forest itself exhaled, a presence arrived. There was no sound of footsteps, no rustling of robes, no radiant aura, only a quiet man, old but unaged, standing across the flame, dressed in black robes that seemed to eat the moonlight. His eyes were closed, yet they saw everything. His back curved like a question mark, but his presence stood taller than the mountain. Shoju Rojin. The traveler opened his eyes but did not move. He bowed only inwardly, his breath shifting into reverence. Shoju spoke, not with words, but as if the air itself decided to ask, "What is the sound of the candle burning?" The traveler answered nothing. Shoju stepped forward. "What remains when the sword breaks, the flame dies, and the water dries?" Still, the traveler did not speak. "Very well," said Shoju aloud this time. "I see your mouth has learned to stay silent, but has your mind?" He struck the candle with his sleeve, not to extinguish it, but to awaken it. The flame bent and returned to its upright dance. Then Shoju said, "You have met 3 warriors. Each gave you weight. Now I give you lightness." He leaned in closer, his breath soft, smelling of pine, old tea, and stillness. "Let go of the sword. Let go of the flow. Let go of the fire. Even let go of the self who learned from them." He tapped the traveler's chest gently, like striking a bell. "What you now carry is noise." Then, without another word, Shoju turned to walk away, but not down a path. He walked directly into the dark woods where no trail could be seen, as if daring the traveler to follow without needing a reason. The traveler hesitated. His hand moved toward the flame, but he remembered. If you wish to see the way clearly, do not cling to even the light that led you here. He left the candle. He stepped into the darkness, and it did not swallow him. The forest that whispers back. The traveler stepped into the darkness where Shoju Rojin had vanished. But the forest did not feel like the same world. It felt aware. Not ominous, not cruel, just watching. The moonlight no longer reached him. The wind moved strangely, not from one direction, but in circles, like it had forgotten how to blow straight. He walked, then walked more, then walked until he forgot he had ever started walking. Suddenly, a voice. Not ahead, not behind. Inside. When you no longer seek the path walks toward you. He turned and found himself standing before himself. A mirror, a version of him, identical in every way, yet something was missing. This other self stared back, silent. The traveler spoke. "What are you?" The reflection replied softly. "I am who you were before you admired the masters, before you tried to become wise, before you thought you needed to change." The traveler stepped closer. "Your emptiness," he whispered. The reflection smiled, not with lips, but with stillness. "No," it said, "you're the one who keeps filling the cup. I am what remains when even the cup dissolves." Then the forest shattered, not in sound, in understanding. The trees fell upward, the stars bled downward. Time spiraled inward, and the traveler's body scattered into letters and symbols, brushstrokes on some invisible page. Only his breath remained, one inhale, one exhale. When he awoke, he was back in the grove. The stone was gone, the water was gone, the flame gone. Only the breeze remained and a single scrap of parchment in his lap. It read, "When you stop polishing the mirror, you finally see your face." He looked around. No sign of Shoju. Only one faint footprint in the dirt beside him. His own, but facing the direction he had not yet walked. We are now entering the part of the journey that is no longer about mastery, but about undoing identity, burning away ego, and returning with the wisdom invisible to most eyes. The riddle that strikes without sound. The first koan of Shoju Rojin. The traveler wandered further into the forest, but not searching, only moving as wind moves when it forgets the trees. Then suddenly, he was no longer in the forest. He stood in a room with no walls. A dojo, a shrine, number just space. Floor beneath his feet, sky above, but no roof, no edges. Only stillness and the scent of old ink and pine smoke. In the center of the space sat Shoju Rojin, cross-legged before a blank scroll. The old master dipped a brush into ink, but did not write. He looked up and said only, "Here is your first riddle." He tapped the scroll once with the brush, leaving no mark, then asked, "If you can see what I have written, speak it aloud, and I will erase it." The traveler froze. He stared at the scroll, blank. He stared at the master, unmoving. He looked inside his own thoughts, rushing, grasping, calculating. But each idea faded before forming. He whispered, "There's nothing there." Shoju Rojin smiled gently, then shook his head. "Wrong." He tapped the scroll again. Still no ink, still no word, still no form. Then he closed his eyes and asked again, "What is written clearly on the scroll?" The traveler, feeling desperate to answer correctly, searched the teachings of Musashi. He recalled Bruce's water. He remembered Tsunetomo's flame. But the scroll remained blank. Finally, he looked into his own breath and asked himself, not to answer, but to see. And from somewhere deeper than memory, he spoke. What is written is the thought before thought, the sound before sound, the answer I cannot speak because it is already known. Shoju opened his eyes, smiled, not in approval, not in praise, only as the sun smiles on the mountain after a long storm. He said, Then there's nothing to erase. And for the first time, he touched the scroll with his open palm. The ink appeared, not from his brush, but from the space itself. One word, written in no language, but the traveler understood it completely. Then the scroll vanished. The koan of the unwritten word. The traveler has taken his first step into no mind, where the teachings are no longer intellectual, but invisible and experiential. The flame of Tsunetomo taught him resolve. The mirror of Bruce taught him flow. The sword of Musashi taught him presence. But Shoju Rojin teaches him to release even the need to carry those things. Masters of the Way. Contemplation Parable by Jaws Attack.